Futureproof is sponsored by Carrot Events, showcasing your company values with high-impact, bespoke events. Hello and welcome to Futureproof. Thank you so much for watching us here as I film in the Shoreham studio for Latest Television, the business television programme that looks at future-proofing, inspiring, sharing nuggets of gold and indeed creative ideas. And you may have seen the guests that I've got in the studio today. You might have seen them in the previous programme because I am wanting to make a series of programmes with these lovely, lovely ladies. And so just very, very briefly, I'm just going to ask them to introduce themselves again in case you missed it last time, and then we're going to pick up on the subject of hats, but I also want to talk about accountancy, so I hope you enjoy the programme. Pfizer!
Hi.
Pfizer's sponsoring, as you probably saw, Carrot Events.
It's a pleasure.
It's wonderful, thank you. So tell us, just remind us briefly, who are you and what you do?
I run an events company called Carrot Events. Where, as I said before, we're a little bit different in the fact that we don't run, we run events for other people, of course, but we mainly run and launch our own in-house events.
Yes.
A lot of them are awards, exhibitions, conferences, those kind of things.
I just love the fact that you're so versatile in your thinking, and
I think in today's day and age you have to be.
Yes.
You can't, if you want to progress, there's no way of just doing the standard. You have to go forward. We had the Business Women Excellence Awards in November, and we had to up the game on it. So we moved it to a different venue, the Grand in Brighton. We added a lot more wow factor to it, and the response back has been incredible.
yes.
So you have to do that. You can't just keep the same bland all the time.
No.
And we're actually, it's going out in Hampshire, in Surrey, and possibly in London at the end of the year.
Fantastic.
So
Fantastic.
And with all that in mind, we move to you, Alison, and I know who you are, but you know, and we are gonna ask you more questions about the world of accountancy. But just tell us, for the sake of people who'd like to maybe meet you or what have you,
Yeah, of
who are
course.
you and what you do?
So I'm Alison Jones. I'm a partner at Creston Reeves, which is a firm of accountants, and I run the Brighton office. And the reason and how we all met is I also run a networking club for women, which I do quarterly, and I try to do it with a little bit of a twist, so the sort of subjects that you don't normally talk about. And that's how I met all these lovely ladies.
Well, you say that's how we met. We've known each other for
Yes, you
years.
and I
It's
have,
what brought us
yes.
all together. We've I don't know if you knew Joanna before. I
no,
haven't
actually I
met her before.
didn't, but I'm so glad I did.
I know, absolutely. So
It's mutual.
one of the events that you ran, which is tied up with your ladies, and like you say, you do different things all the time. One of the things you said is, let's go and try on some hats.
Absolutely.
So we did, which introduced us to you, Joanna. And what I want to say is, in the last programme, is we did actually see a hat. We don't have it now, a velvet hat that has a royal stamp on it, for goodness sake. So tell us who you are. Can you also remind us about this special hat, because it's a very special
Okay.
hat, and then we'll talk more about moulds and things like that.
My name's Joanna Zara. I design and make handmade, bespoke and made-to-measure hats, and I'm based in a studio in Hove.
Yes.
The hat that we were talking about in the last programme is actually unusual for me because it was a design for production, you might say. It was created in response to a competition run by Lock & Co Hatters, based in St James in London, the oldest hatters in the world. Inventors of the bowler hat, believe it or not, and used to provide Wellington with his bicorn, that sort of thing. So I entered this competition and to my great surprise won. So my design was put into production and sold, and we raised money. A percentage of each sale also went to charity.
And to make it was, or was it the Panama hat we were talking about, a mould, weren't we?
The hats that I generally make to order, if it's something like a traditional style hat you might think of, like a trilby or a fedora, it is always blocked on a wooden hat block.
Right.
So if you imagine the top part of the hat is what we call the crown.
Yes.
That I have a collection. You must come and see my collection of wooden hat blocks. They're beautiful objects. whatever material I'm using will usually be formed over that wooden block to create a shape. So depending on the material, that's either a hot and sweaty business with a lot of steam, or a slightly cooler business with just dampening straw.
Does it take a long time to actually set the shape?
It takes patience to get a really smooth shape. It takes quite a bit of brute force depending on the material you're using.
Okay.
The sort of the wintry felts and so on, you have to get
actually
quite
get them, yeah.
get quite muscly getting them in,
So
wrangling
to
them
go
into
to the
shape.
gym and actually.
But what I like is in the last programme you talked about job satisfaction and taking people on a journey, and I want to kind of bring that into you, Alison, because I've known you for years, and without being prejudiced, I know you're very good at what you do and job satisfaction, but I also know there are kind of frustrations, I wouldn't say concerns, but the world of accountancy is changing beyond recognition.
It has completely changed.
What does that mean for you heading up? I mean, it's a big office in Brighton.
It is, yeah. I mean, well, it impacts a lot on the students that we bring in and the new generation, I have to say. But I mean, it's so radically changed in the past, even 2-3 years, because of the fact that we've got so much more on the internet, we've got so much more AI. I mean, AI, you'd think, what's AI got to do with accountancy? But it has absolutely revolutionised
AI, artificial intelligence,
Yes.
and it's where AI is taking the place of, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have something called Receipt Bank, which is a program where, for example, you can just scan your invoices in, and it's a recognition program. So whereas before you used to have to get someone that would type in all the invoices and spend a couple of days, as I say, you scan it, Receipt Bank, it's done and dusted in a matter of minutes. So the whole sort of evolution of accountancy is just fundamentally
But what's interesting is some people, when they talk about accountancy or artificial intelligence coming into the business world, that it can be a threat to a business. But what you're saying is actually, as accountants, you are embracing artificial intelligence, empowering you to do
We do, because it
to work smarter.
Yeah, absolutely, it saves so much time. We use something called Xero, which is an accounting software which we can access and our clients can access. And what I found is it's given so much more control for smaller businesses, especially, whereas before they wouldn't necessarily know what was in their bank account or what their profit and loss account was. Now they can visualise it very, very quickly, and we can teach them very, very quickly. But that's had a knock-on effect in a way on us, because whereas we used to spend 2-3 weeks bookkeeping, now the client's doing it themselves, and it's incredibly faster. So we found that as a business we've had to completely change sort of our outlook and actually what we offer. So now we're more advisory. So now we'll actually have a set of accounts sort of prepared for us by the client, and we'll sit and talk to them about it. So it is a fundamental change, to be honest. And as you say, in 2-3 years' time, the university students that are coming out will have a completely different, I expect, view of accountancy than
And that's, I want to probably pick that up in the second half as well, because I know people, there's a family that I know where the son has said, I want to be an accountant, and I know that and you don't want to hurt these people or demotivate them in some way, but you feel like saying, have you done your due diligence, have you really looked at this, because what accountancy looks like now is not how it's going to be when he leaves school.
Definitely not. It's going to be more advisory, and it's going to be more interpretation, and also whereas before we always looked at the past, now we're looking at the future. And going back to your future proofing, that's exactly what we're doing to our clients now. We're looking with them and saying, right, are you thinking about the future? Have you got a financial, are your finances proofed? Are you in a good position? Do you know where you want to go? Do you know how to get there? And what can we do to help you?
And from our point of view as business consultants as well, is the accountancy world has, and it's not a horrible thing to say, but like eaten into our world, because a lot of sort of the IP, the intellectual property that we use as consultants, accountants are actually using their in-house consultants to actually deliver some of that. Can we stay with this as we go into the second half to ask a bit more? And I'll be asking you also about your accountancy and how that works for you. But in this programme, the last thing we want to do is, we're not fearmongers and what have you. We literally just want to kind of inspire. So if you've got somebody who is thinking of accountancy, then please, we're not saying it's a no-no, and yes, things are changing, but we need good advisors. We need people who are good at building relationships. We need people who are emotionally agile, actually, and able to actually work alongside their clients and give them the confidence that they need and the advice they need. Stay with us. We'll be back. EQ, emotional quotient, is better known as emotional intelligence. It is a tangible tool that can sit alongside your services or your product, and it can be taught. Leaders with high EQ have less stress, they're more effective, and they earn more money. There's a great saying, just because we have pains, it does not give us permission to be a pain. I believe that teaching emotional intelligence has a direct impact on your sense of success and your net profits. EQ will empower you and your workforce to drive the change that you want. Change brings transition. EQ can help unpack what's holding you back and speed up that period of transition.